I'll just briefly talk about what GEM is so that from a different perspective, not only from procurement, but from a larger perspective. And then I'll share some of the characteristics of GEM which distinguish it from a typical e-procurement portal or a static marketplace. So, GEM was born in August 2016 by by doing away with what was the earlier DGS&D system. DGS&D system was largely on rate contracts, and you can say largely GEM is totally moved away from rate contracts. It is a marketplace model. And we intend to preserve this characteristic of GEM. I'm not saying that rate contracts cannot be done, or wherever it is required, wherever government feels the urgency, or wherever there is criticality, obviously rate contracts may still be there and probably will continue. But the effort should be that can we have more and more of a marketplace model rather than rate contracts. So that is the underlying theme, which is not my theme only. It was enshrined in the cabinet note when it went for approval before the current government in 2016. The cabinet note was approved on 12th of April 2017. The portal went live in December 2018. So you can say that we are also a startup, like many of you might be. So we are still learning, evolving, consolidating, and trying to become better every day. Even the General Systems Administration of US, I'm told, is now moving to a marketplace model. So probably they started late, but they are also moving along with us. Because that is where the real benefits lie. So it's a conscious understanding of what the benefits are. Now, if you look at GEM, it is not only a procurement portal. It is basically a movement which has led to large-scale changes in government. If you see the alignment of procurement processes that government departments have to do with GEM, they are just phenomenal. They have to orient and they have to align their entire processes with GEM. So consider governments after governments, state governments, central governments, autonomous bodies, municipal corporations, all of them procuring, and the size of the procurement in India is not trivial. It's about, if you take I'm only considering products and services, not even considering works. If you take products and services alone, the size of the procurement volume estimated by GEM and also by other organizations is close to 8 to 10 lakh crores per annum. Here I am counting all the state governments, all the central government agencies together, which are amenable on the marketplace, which is not amenable on the marketplace, and if you start counting everything, that might run into 35 lakh crores per annum or 32 lakh crores per annum. So I'm not counting those very specialized procurement. So 8 to 10 lakh crores per annum, or of the order of platform size of the order of 100 billion at its peak, and saving about 15-20% is a huge achievement by itself if we achieve that goal. And you are talking about contribution of 1 percentage point to the GDP only by one platform. So that is the scale and magnitude of procurement in India. And imagine that all of those processes align themselves to GEM. So it's a very big change management exercise currently going on in the country. And every state is on GEM. If you have any doubts, every state is on GEM, whether or not they have signed the MOU. So obviously they see advantages by being on GEM. So this is the first point I wanted to make. Second is the way the analytics and digitization and technology is coming into the platform. It is providing an insight into procurement that was not there before. You have a buyer can plan his entire procurement. The government has visibility into the payments made by the buyer, payments made in the past, payments about to be made in the future. Those things are just not possible offline, or even in an e-procurement portal or a static portal. These things are just not possible. But these are possible on GEM. So this is the second point I wanted to make. Third is, the transparency and inclusiveness, cost savings, efficiency that we talk about, and they have become synonymous with GEM now. These attributes have basically brought government to the people. That is another big achievement. So you can go on talking about transparency, efficiency, and if you don't translate it into action, then it remains a wish list. In GEM, it is not a wish list. It has been translated into action and reality. That is the third point I wanted to make. Fourth is, if you see closely, GEM has the potential of translating a set of policy directives into actual actionable points on the platform. For example, you take the public procurement policy or purchase preference for Make in India, PPPMII, or let us say take, for example, the MSME purchase preference policy. Or let us take the example of 358 items reserved only for MSMEs. In other words, if a buyer wants to purchase, he can do so only from the set of sellers for whom this 358 items is reserved. Now, any of these directions in an offline environment, you can say, I am implementing. How are you implementing? Then a host of reports have to be submitted. By the time the reports come, it is time to move on. It is already dated information. All that is just not, GEM just takes care of all of that, because you can have a set of rules which I can create on GEM and actually translate the policy intent into action. So I summarize it by saying that this causes efficient transmission of policy intent. That is the fourth point I want to make for GEM. So these are the four characteristics apart from procurement. Now, if you look at procurement from the standpoint of view of only procurement, then you have one picture. But if you start taking these four attributes of GEM into account, then you have a different kind of a picture. And then, of course, inclusiveness, I have already said, it partners the MSMEs and startups in their growth story, because startups are a big part of GEM now and growing. In fact, tomorrow I am going to T-Hub, where a number of startups have gathered. More than, I think, 75 of them have already confirmed. And they want to do business with GEM, and they want to grow with GEM. So GEM has become a partner in the growth story of MSMEs and startups. So having said all these things, let me get back to the characteristics of a platform. Why does a platform succeed, or a platform like GEM succeed? It has three characteristics. It can bring stakeholders in zero time, almost. Because sellers can register on GEM in 10-15 minutes. No cost, no registration fee, nothing. So it's an open platform. Second characteristic of a platform is it can bring stakeholders together in almost zero time. Zero cost, zero time. Third is it has a set of rules which create confidence in all the stakeholders. And the predictability behind the rules is also important. So that is how every platform has succeeded, like National Stock Exchange, like Uber, like Google, like GEM, like other platforms. So I believe that India in the next decade will grow on the top of platforms. Electronic platforms in real time, where all the stakeholders are together, all the things happen in real time, people can see each other, they have trust and confidence, and they grow with each other. So that is what GEM is in a nutshell. Now, if you look at from the point of view of maturity of GEM in terms of its journey into e-governance domains, basically we have a system by which a website comes into being initially, then it starts transacting on the transactions start happening, then you have a vertical integration, all the entire vertical is integrated with each other, and the last stage of maturity, which makes the website or the portal most mature, is the horizontal integration across all these verticals. So GEM has these characteristics too. It has integrated horizontally with a number of other portals like MCA 21, with income tax, with GST, and because I have to validate online. I'm integrated with Aadhaar. I'm integrated with many ERP systems of many large CPSEs. I'm integrated with the Controller General of Defense Accounts. I'm integrated with 13 banks. So this horizontal integration gives GEM the power to actually validate things online and deliver services online. It has all the processes that you can have. For example, the direct purchase. You have L1. You have reverse auction. We have L1 followed by reverse auction, direct reverse auction, etc. Many of you may have feelings about some operational issues on GEM. That is bound to happen in a portal of this size which is evolving. And let me assure you that there is no problem that technology cannot solve on an e-governance platform, on an e-procurement platform. So one by one, for example, right now we have completed in the last 6 months, I would have touched 98 processes and made them live. I have a long list of another 130 processes that I have identified, which we need to do on the platform. Maybe by the time I come close to finishing this 130, I have another set of 200 processes on the platform. So this will go on to make the platform more powerful. And we will bring in analytics, we will bring in artificial intelligence, machine learning, we will bring in deep learning for various reasons, for buyer-seller collusion, for powerful search based on natural language processing. We will even bring blockchain technology so that you can use blockchain as part of your digital supply chain infrastructure, which will give you confidence. For example, medicines procurement can happen through blockchain technology. For example, we can have smart contracts through blockchain technology. So various things which are contingent upon other things can be driven through blockchain and they will create the confidence that is required. We are even ready for works. Today, right now, our mandate is only for procurement of products and services. But let me assure you that we are also ready for works, should the government say that even works should be procured on GEM. Because for works, we have a very simple model. The model is the standardization of bidding documents. That alone creates a lot of value. Today, if you go to states, you'll find that across, let us say, 23 states, if you look at the public works department tenders for, let us say, construction of roads, you'll find 23 different kinds of tenders, all done by buyers, but they are not standardized. There are question marks about the best procurement practices. Can we bring all of that on one portal so that you look at EPC contracts, you are assured that what you have here in the form of standard bid documents, they are embedded, or the world's best procurement practices are embedded in these standardized bid documents. If we are able to do that, we will create a lot of value for all stakeholders. We will save a lot of money, we will save a lot of dispute, we will bring quality, and we will bring assurance to the higher echelons of administration that the bid document is of high quality. Now the question is, you can have multiple templates at the back end, but how do you create a simple front end for a buyer who may not be so knowledgeable in procurement. That is why we will have what is known as a small intelligent interface we'll design in the form of an information wizard, which will ask simple questions and do dynamic decisioning. And in other words, the questions will be in a funnel style format, more questions first, and with each succeeding step, the number of questions will decrease. Ultimately, I have no questions to ask, so I'll give out the answer. Answer is which template you want to go to. And we will have the questions generated in the next step will depend on the answers to the first set. So for every person, literally, the experience with the wizard will be totally different or potentially different. So that will take care of the information wizard, and the templates together will take care of this works procurement issues that we have. And so then GEM becomes truly the national public procurement. If you notice the decision of the cabinet, it says GEM will be the national public procurement portal for procurement of goods and services by central and state government organizations, which means not only ministries and departments, but CPSCs, autonomous bodies, municipal corporations, everyone. So it's a huge responsibility that GEM is carrying now to be able to solve this complex problem of procurement. Procurement across countries and nations has never been an easy task. And it has been associated with a lot of corrupt activities and non-transparent activities. India is trying to get rid of that legacy by making it transparent and by using technology to reach there. So that is what I had to say. I will not take more time than this. Thank you.
Before I begin on our e-procurement journey, let me just spend a minute to tell you the context from which, because I see many of the people who are not from government here, NIC operates. So National Informatics Center, NIC, is an attached office under Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. It is a very uniquely placed organization, maybe one of its kind in the world, which has presence across all tiers of governance. We build IT solutions for central government, various ministries, department, for state governments, district administrations, even for local government. We work for all the three organs of the state, right from executives, that means ministries and departments, to legislatures, almost all legislative councils and Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, we have our IT solutions operating. And we also work in a big way with the Indian judicial system across till the districts. With this kind of a presence and this kind of a unique opportunity also gives us build platforms which can touch base with almost everybody in India, whether it is citizens who are in the far-flung area of India, or it is business entities like you here, whether it is our e-procurement solution or whether it is our e-way bill solution, which is a complement to GST, or some of our taxes related systems. We also interact with a lot of tourists visiting India through our e-visa system. So a complete immigration and visa which you see on the airports, and electronic visa on arrival, that's also a platform which we have. So we really feel humbled and privileged to be working with almost everybody who has in India and who has something to do with India for that matter. This e-procurement system, which is basically guided by Public Procurement Policy Division of Ministry of Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance. I can see senior officials from Ministry of Finance, Mr. Sanjay Prasad, Sanjay Agrawal, all of them are here. It is under their guidance. We have a team led by Usha here, who have developed and evolved this platform over the last 12 years. It had very humble beginning in beginning from for doing any procurement system from the state of Tamil Nadu and Orissa, and from there it has evolved, and ladies and gentlemen, today it has already facilitated processing of 5.5 million tenders worth $1 trillion US. So I think we can definitely give a round of applause to the team here of Department of Expenditure as well as NIC team. It's a huge, huge achievement. And as you will see, its user base is not only state governments and departments, but our 500 different central government organizations, public sector entities, defense, transport, health, education, aviation, culture, and various other kinds of units. And it has evolved today to cover almost all aspects of procurement, beginning from RFPs to RFQs, EOI, two-stage process, reverse auction, QCBS, turnkey projects, buyback facility, global tenders, multi-cover packet tenders, debarment process, preferential treatment to MSMEs and startups. And this system over the time has also in compliance with not only general financial rules of Government of India, tender rules followed in various states, defense procurement manual, procurement guidelines for various public sector enterprises, CVC guidelines, which is Central Vigilance Commission on tendering, and it is also compliant with guidelines from Asian Development Bank and World Bank. In this system, while we have focusing on covering in terms of its entire range of services and feature to cover almost every aspect of procurement, we have a special focus on the security, cyber security dimensions of this. We look at it security in a very, very comprehensive view, taking it from 360-degree perspective. That means keeping the system secure, not only at the servers and the infrastructure, but it should the complete channel and the path from where the bidders bid or from where the buyers put their requirements. Complete system has been gets audited regularly, and it has been reviewed by many security agencies. You'll be really proud to know that we have stood scrutiny of many, many court cases, and every time we have come strong, and we have been always able to sail through. That's again a matter of pride, which we feel as far as this system. The system has stood testimony and scrutiny of various such legal as well as vigilance related processes which come from time to time. Now coming on to the topic of today, which is use of technology in procurement. So while platform itself is a testimony, and today it is a complete cloud-based platform where if there are small requirements, they don't just have to fill one form and within hours they can publish their tender. That's how it is. But if it's a large establishment, then we try and carve out a different instance. That too primarily because we do not have that kind of unending infrastructure with us through which we'll be able to kind of do that the metering or whatever of the infrastructure used by those enterprises, we'll have separate instances coming up. But the solution per se is completely cloud-based and works literally as a service. You don't have to procure anything, you don't have to install any software, simply fill one form and you are just up and about. So now what we are focusing, because we've been realizing over the time that procurement is not is normally not done in isolation. When the organizations like you are charting on your journey of digital transformation, procurement becomes an integral part of your end-to-end process of running an organization. There's some way the requirement will be. In fact, in the times to come and some industries, even the requirement of the next lot of material will also be generated by bots or senses by IoT devices. So it has to truly integrate with the existing ecosystem of the organization. So for the last 1 year, our focus has been to practically integrate through open API kind of a architecture with almost any and every system operating. Systems like SAP, SRMs we have already integrated, Each state government and central government has their own project management system. So number of those systems have been integrated, and we are very, very open. Which are ERP you are using, we are more than happy to integrate with the system, so that the process of procurement from your place of planning to procurement and then finally placing order and then getting into your system of your assets and all can be all completely integrated. And we have already successfully done in many of the systems. We have also integrated it with number of payment gateways, but more importantly, the public finance management system, PFMS, which is of Government of India system, which also incidentally we operate, it has been integrated with this, so that all payments of any kind for bid or EMD, everything could come through this. It is also has been integrated with the treasuries of the state governments. Many of the state governments' treasuries also this has been integrated. So in a way, and we are continuously adding those services to our portfolio or to this platform, so that it becomes, so the objective is complete automation and end-to-end and completely integrated in your ecosystem. You whichever kind of software using, our objective, because this is just one process of running an organization. So it has to come back and be so flexible that it works as a part of your ecosystem. Second thing, as you've seen, that we have such a wide variety of user base, and everybody will have their own rules of procurement. So how do we really manage? So over the time, it's a completely configurable solution. And we've been seeing the parameters or the rules or other things which will vary from an entity to entity. We have slowly moved all of them into a configurable layer. So when you install or when you service, that time you've been given parameters, you choose whether you want to do QCBS, you want to do two-stage, or whichever way you would like to go, and what will be your EMD values and everything. So all that is truly configurable, and we continuously keep working and make more and more parameters configurable. Our methodology, because if a system like this where you have such a large user base, there is a change request which also keep coming from time to time, and as an IT system, so many a times, you know, because of the updates and upgrades also. So we follow a very agile methodology, so that blue red team or whatever, so that seamlessly you kind of roll out the new versions and new updates onto the system. And the few more things I wanted to just appraise you, that it has a very powerful reverse auction tool, and which has been found extremely useful for the organizations, and they'll be really able to sue. It also has in many provision for H1 elimination, and it also has system through which many of the organizations have practiced protection of MSME and startups by putting, if your L1 is only 15% more, if the bid of the MSME or startup is 15% more than the L1, then the 50% or certain percent of order has to go. So all those kinds of rules are already built. It's a matter of your choice, whichever you want to activate. So system is really designed to meet the needs of all kinds of procurement policies or strategies which an organization can be simply configured. So technology integration is one part which I think any e-procurement system should endeavor. Second thing is the new technologies. The one is analytics. So in analytics, what we have now trying to do dashboards. I mean, we have simple dashboards, trying to put more advanced level of analytics in these dashboards of bidders, dashboards of procuring agencies or procurement officers, and also dashboards for the senior management. Like if it is a bidders, we can always, and these bidders have been with platforms for years now, so tell them that first of all, identify the bidders who mostly submit at last moment and have missed the tenders in some cases because of the payment or whatever kind of things. So how do you really pre-alert them and kind of give them guidance from time to time? Bid rates versus win rates. So what has been your loss margin indicator? So that if you have these values, next time when you're bidding, you could be more intelligent, you can use this insight and maybe bid with much more strategy. If it is departments, we can always we kind of tell them what has been their purchase order cycle time, what has been supplier defect rate oblique ratio. I mean, how many people, how many places the suppliers could not really supply on time or could not supply. For the management, what are the common reasons for cancellation of your tenders? How many times have your teams actually extended the dates to these things? And many more things and kind of this. So essentially trying to give all that information which those officers or those bidders or those individuals will need to perform their function in a more efficient and more effective. That's one part. And as I said, though we are very proud that we have stood the scrutiny of all the court cases and all vigilance procedures, but still we are cognizant of the fact, because the kind of procurement is happening on our platform, while cyber security is one part, but you have much more intelligent level of breaches happening today. So we are building right now, we are working on developing a fraud analytics module into this, where we could write those rules and maybe detect if somebody is trying to do any kind of a malpractice or any kind of a operation he is kind of doing. So that's something, it's a concept stage. We are working. Any one of you, if you have more information, is more than happy, we'll be really more than happy to work with you together. Let me now try and give you another aspect which we are trying to work, is that how do we really, which is again at the concept we are thinking, that how do we put this artificial intelligence and machine learning into this procurement, primarily to help bidders at the first stage, that how should they really plan their strategies, because while it is all free of cost, but at some point of time the time and energy get wasted in preparing this bid, and if you don't lose, there's some intangible loss which you make. And also to the departments, that how should you optimize your procurement process so that you meet your budget targets, deadlines, and also you can get much better pricing of your procurements. So maybe, because now since we have 10 to 12 years of data, I think it will be a good kind and very structured and organized data. Maybe this could be used to do some kind of those machine learning models onto it. I will close by just giving you some success stories to indicators to many of you. Like, the system is so much automated that you can do, technology today is so much that you could do complete process in an automated fashion. Even technical evaluation can happen, provided you have done your evaluation criteria in a manner which can be objectively evaluated. Like Coal India, which is a Maharatna PSU, completes a complete procurement cycle in around 30 days using all these. So they have already automated all these procedures. So the technical evaluation, who is qualifying, comes out automatically. There is no human intervention needed. In 30 days, in last 2 to 3 years, they've been continuously able to complete their processes, which is a record time for that thing. Indian Army, which buys these food grains, and many a times when they used to do these tenders, people never used to bid for this. Why they never use? Because if they do not bid and there is nobody, the army, because food has to come, so they have to buy at the market rates. So it used to be a kind of cartelization which used to happen, and then one of the other should pick up. So once they have come on these tenders and their retendering has been drastically reduced, and they have been able to make huge saving in the cost of fruit grains procurement, which they do pan-India. Chandigarh administration has done the auction. It also has a module of auction of liquor shops and liquor shop allocations, and they have an increase of 34% in their revenue collection than whatever is the previous last auction they had done. This also has a facility of doing international tenders. Like we supported Uttarakhand government in importing Australian breed sheep for merino wool and things like this. And even these airports, you have this Udan project of Government of India for small town airports. So e-bidding of all these airports was also done on this system. So meaning thereby that it kind of caters to wide variety of these things. We feel very proud of this platform, and I will like to officially thank all our users who have been this, because we do not come from this background. We have been only listening to them, and it is only with their cooperation and their input and their critical review that we have been able to come to this stage. And I look forward to having many more new features to it, again with the support of all of you. Thank you.
So cast your mind back We're in 2020 now. Can you remember a time before cell phones, smartphones? Can you remember a time before the internet? So these technological changes were relatively recent. In 1950, Alan Turing posed the question, can machines think? And the topic of this presentation is to run through some examples of how we're taking advantage of the technology to make improvements to procurement. To make procurements faster, to make contract delivery more predictable, to improve transparency, to reduce errors, and ultimately to eliminate people from the procurement process. The question posed prior to this session was, would routine procurements be largely automated in the next 5 years? And I think the answer is categorically yes. So some of the terminology here will be foreign to many of you: blockchain, smart contracts, natural language processing. I'm going to touch on 2 examples of this technology in this brief presentation: blockchain and machine learning or natural language processing. So the example of the Coke machine is a good example of a smart contract. It takes your coin, it verifies that it's the correct coin, it looks inside the machine and verifies that it has Coke available, and based on the verification of those 2 ends of the transaction, the process is automated. So this is what we're talking about with blockchain. So the first example I want to talk about is a recent one that was conducted in Pakistan. So this project had 30,000 farmers who were beneficiaries. They were required to present 50% of the transaction cost for the farm equipment that they were requiring in advance of the transaction. The World Bank contributed the other 50%. So they had to look ahead seasonally and see what their demand was likely to be for threshers, tractor equipment, tarpaulins, a whole range of items. But because of the lead time on these items, they weren't prepared to stump up the advance payment, and so the contracts were largely sitting dormant. So what was done to speed things up was to negotiate a framework agreement with the suppliers of the farm equipment, and then the transactions were automated. So once the farmers had verified their ability to pay the 50% advance payment, and once the suppliers had verified their ability to sell, the transaction was automated and stored on the blockchain. So the farmers would place a call over a cell phone that was translated into a purchase order using interactive voice recognition software, and that was translated into the purchase order, and then the transaction was coded on blockchain and visible through a web portal. I'm just going to show you a quick example of this. Let's see if this will work.
This use case brings us to Sindh, the second largest agricultural province in Pakistan, where the World Bank is investing in an agricultural growth project. The development objective of this project is to improve the productivity and market access of small and medium producers in important value commodity chains. As part of this project, the World Bank provides grants to finance equipment for local farmers. Pakistani government units are responsible for implementing this project, and the World Bank Group tracks the results based on pre-established rules and agreements. Let's take a look at the challenges that the project team is currently facing. The entire system is scattered in electronic and manual forms. The absence of linkage throughout the cycle increases the likelihood of errors in reporting and causes long waiting time for data consolidation and verification, which could eventually undermine project implementation effectiveness and the trust that stakeholders have in the system. Based on these development challenges, project team members and the ITS Technology and Innovation Lab worked together to create a concept that could potentially solve some of these challenges. Our objective was to produce a working prototype that recorded granular details of each transaction on the blockchain in a transparent and accessible way. Let's take a look at who the key actors are in our prototype. We have the farmer, who is the beneficiary. We have the Pakistani government agent, who is responsible for on-the-ground implementation of the project. The supplier fulfills the purchase order based on the contract details, and we have the World Bank project team, who provides the grants and oversees project implementation. Within our prototype, everything starts when the farmer realizes he could yield more crops with a tractor. So the farmer indicates what they need to the government agent through their mobile phone. This transaction is recorded on the shared ledger for all stakeholders to see. Once the government agent sees this, she can start the process of fulfilling this demand. So, she'll first make a purchase order for the supplier. Then, the supplier works on fulfilling that purchase order, and once the equipment is ready, they send it to the warehouse. Then, the farmer confirms that they received the equipment through their mobile phone. All of these records are stored on the blockchain, creating an everlasting means of record keeping. So, we were able to digitize the end-to-end process of purchasing farming equipment and delivering it to farmers, while also recording every transaction in between. But maybe it seems like this can still be replaced by traditional IT systems. However, the inherent traits of blockchain technology ensure that none of these logs can be changed by any actor, not even Mahesh, who was the developer of this prototype. Also, this system keeps each player accountable for their actions, with timestamps that link back to every actor involved in each transaction, and it even provides evidence that conditions of the agreed contract and purchase orders were met. But how would this affect a World Bank officer who is assigned to monitoring the project? Well, as we stated earlier, most of this information usually is unavailable for months or even years. The distributed ledger, or blockchain, would allow the World Bank officer to simply go to their desk, log in, and see all the transaction records immediately. They can see when the tractor is delivered, who received it, how much it costs, and all other related information they might need to know. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked it. For more information about this use case, please visit the Technology and Innovation website.
So the lead time for this equipment was reduced from 6 months to 15 days. The record keeping that was previously done on a predecessor project took 2 years to assemble, and that's now available in real time. So the advantages here are pretty clear. The ability to report, the distributed ledger, the transparency, the speed to procure, all of these things massively improve the delivery under this project.
This use case brings us to
the second example is for pharmaceutical supply chain. So similar to the previous example, in this case, the catalogue of pharmaceuticals was pre-agreed with pricing negotiated with the suppliers. Now we have a verifiable quality of pharmaceuticals from the supply side, and we have verified ability to pay on the buyer side, which has enabled the complete automation of the inventory management system, meaning that projects such as one I did in the South Pacific a couple of years ago in Nauru, where they had run out of dialysis medication, is avoided. They now have real-time reporting and verified pharmaceuticals and inventory management system. The second application was in land management records. So once again, the ability to have trust on both sides of a transaction requires that the documents are verifiable and that there is an immutable record that can't be altered. So the applications for records management, not just for land records, but also for births, deaths and marriages, for tax records, health records, is pretty clear. It means that the information is not stored in one place, the record is immutable, and both sides of those transactions now have complete trust in the record keeping. So in Pakistan, there is currently no e-procurement system. There's one being developed at the moment, but that means they don't have a digital record of their procurement history. So what they've got is a series of scanned documents, PDF files, JPEGs, Word documents, and what we're doing there is taking those scanned records and running them through a natural language processing algorithm or machine learning algorithm and turning those into a searchable database so that they have all of those scanned documents now available going back for the last 10 years in a searchable database. So the applications here are wide and varied, and the advantages are pretty clear. We can take, with this natural language processing capability now, we can take scanned records and turn them into a searchable database. The other application here is looking at taking some of these documents and looking at doing some analytics on them to come up with some predictions and intelligence out of these scanned documents. So this example takes the audit reports and runs them through a machine learning algorithm again and pulls out, does keyword searches and pulls them out looking for trends and patterns across the procurement process to see what predictions can be made and what improvements can be made based on these audit records. So if we think back, 1984, computer was named Time Magazine's Man of the Year. 1995, we have the internet. 2010, cloud computing became mainstream. Blockchain, 2015. So in the next 15 years, we should expect that the jobs that we're currently doing will be significantly altered and largely automated. There are 167,000 transactions on the World Bank database since 2016, and an estimated 80% of those transactions will be automated by the time we get to 2035. So this technology is here, it's mainstream now, and I think it's on all of us to get our heads around blockchain, machine learning, smart contracts, because in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a significant change to the way that we're doing our procurements. Thank you.
I would give brief introduction about the e-procurement project in Indian Railways, and then the online tender decision system, which is part of our Indian e-procurement, and also e-reverse auction, and the benefits it has brought. Before that, this e-procurement project of Indian Railways is developed by CRIS. This is a society formed under Ministry of Railways, and this is an IT arm of Indian Railways. And Indian Railways, it's a very big organization, millions of people every day, and thousands of freight and passenger trains crisscrossing the country. And it was to have its own IT applications without waiting for somebody to come. So therefore, this ticketing, operations, asset management, the procurement, all the applications were initiated and developed and implemented for Indian Railways by CRIS. And EPS Group developed the e-procurement project for goods and services, works and sale of scrap and leasing of assets of Indian Railways. Mostly it's commercial contracts through various tender modes, auctions and e-reverse auctions. The journey started 2004 with the pilot project on Northern Railway. The stage 1 implemented on Northern Railway and RCF, and it took another 4 to 5 years before it could be rolled out in 7 railways with the kind of complexities that have to be organized. And then quickly it upgraded to the global tender level and auctions for the scrap, and also the contract management. And we have added about 4 to 5 years back the works tenders also, and now the leasing tenders also are on our procurement platform. This is the evaluation, started 2004, then from 2008-9, the phase 1, phase two, stage 1, stage 2 of the phase 1, then 2012, phase 3. And 2018, we have added online tender decision system, which complies with the rules of procurement followed by Indian Railways. And the kind of standardization of the entire decision making, which is our today's poll questions also. Many things are automated. With the result, the productivity and efficiency and the ease of doing the things have improved. And 2018 December, we added the commercial contracts. And this e-procurement project is integrated with the external databases also, RITES, GEM, and CPP of NIC, then banks. This is how this project is implemented on all units of Indian Railways and their PSUs. And RDSO is the latest, where they would do their approval of vendors, which is under development, but the inspection process is automated right from the call to the inspection certificate and dispatch memo. It is now on IMMS, that is IREPS. The IR supply chain is very complex, and because of the varied geographical and varied practices and cultural practices, each of these box is generic as well as specific. With the result, the application will have to cater to the main generic processes at the same time provide the flexibility. This is the success of this e-procurement project of Indian Railways. And Indian Railways alone issues about 4 lakh tenders, and this year already about 2.96 lakh tenders have been issued. And the slight dip is because the common procurement items, the GEM government e-marketplace has come. So we are shifting. Basically, the e-procurement project of Indian Railways is to meet the specific requirements of the railway specific needs, which are very specific to the operations of the Indian Railway, maintenance of the Indian Railway, and which general marketplace may not be able to provide even today. And there are other enterprise activities like scrap disposal. This has to be done. And then this is the ERA growth. The ERA started somewhere April 2018 with the Railway Board instructions as per the GFR, and about 60,000 crores worth of tenders every year are tried, about 1,000 numbers per year nowadays. This year we are touching about 1,000, about 60,000 crores. This is the generic solution of architecture. It's a 3-layer. Then it is web enabled, and it is homegrown. It's the CRIS has the software talent because it's IT arm, and people like me from Indian Railways with domain expertise come and become information systems managers. And then this is a logical diagram where the material planning module, procurement module, depot module, and EDP modules are part of the e-procurement project. This material planning takes care of the demand assessment of all the units depending upon their nature of work. The production units have the target-based, product-based requirements. The maintenance units like zonal railways have the consumption or the spare part requirement. All these things are taken care, their special demands are taken care, and item-wise tenderable demands are generated, and the tenders are issued, e-tendering, and the contracts are entered into it, and subsequent contract management like accounting, payment, and financial statements, they are all part of this e-procurement project. These are the processes we have digitized: demand analysis, pre-tendering, tendering, bidding, online bidding by the bidders, tender evaluation, decision systems, contract management. Various types of contracts, various types of evaluation criteria, item-wise, consignee-wise, item-wise, group-wise, total bidding processes, single stage, double, 2 stage, single packet, 2 packet, again combination of these stages and packets. types of tenders, all types of tenders, and procurement of works since 2015. The works tender is already big success. About 39,000 tenders of works tenders have been issued this year so far, worth about 40,000 crores, and they are being finalized online also. The concepts we have used is condition masters, the document masters, which will provide the repository of the conditions, which also enables the auto insert of the conditions, or the local conditions or the global condition, depending upon the requirement of the unit, and basically to eliminate the errors and also standardize the practices to be followed in a tendering system. This is with reference to the conditions, this is with reference to the documents and default conditions, mandatory conditions, so that the chance of making a mistake in tender and consequently facing problem at the time of finalization is avoided. And various types of clauses have been put so that the bidding process is in control, as well as provide the specific requirements of the tender. I would just show the e-tendering . I want an IT header. Yeah. Okay, this is the header. Various tabs are there. This is the NIT header, where the tender will have a general common information regarding the evaluation criteria, the type of tender, that kind of this thing. Then second thing is, then various other tabs includes your requirements, quantity requirements, tender terms and conditions, then the compliance, response. What it basically indicates is, this is the items, which are the items, that means group of items or the particular item or the consignee wise requirements, they can be, and demands can be managed in this particular tab. Then the terms and conditions, which are mandatory, have to be listed there, which will come automatically. Then you have the eligibility criteria, the requirements to be complied by the bidder are listed here, and the compliance, the terms and conditions which are not by default but required to be incorporated in this tender are included in the compliance, so on and so forth. Finally, you can publish the tender with your digitally signed. So, there are mandatory certifications also to be complied with, saying that this is complies with the Make in India procurement policy, all the required, and GEM, this item is not available in the GEM. These are the certificates the procurement officer of Indian Railways have to give, because they are not supposed to do the procurement of GEM items in IREPS. Okay, I would briefly give you about the online tender decision system, which I feel is the specific feature of this e-procurement project. Here the tender decision system, stores officers or the procurement managers will have to take decision based on the rules that are laid down, and this automates the majority of these decisions. Of course, it is not fully automated. You can't simply get the purchase orders out. Certain intervention is required, but largely standardizes the processes. The technical evaluation also is automated, in the sense the purchase officer, who is responsible, called convener, to finalize, to take forward the case, he can send the technical evaluation to his counterpart in the user departments. Then he can mark the case for technical examination. Okay. Then the decision process and and you can yeah, I'll just. Then Indian Railways have largely two types of tender decision modes: direct acceptance, TC case. If it is a TC case, you have to constitute the TC members, tender committee that convener does, and then tender committee minutes have to be prepared, and this is the start of the tender committee minutes. TC minutes can be prepared, and one can seek the secretarial assistance, which is normally provided in Government of India. Then various tabs are provided. There are the various tabs to prepare the top sheet, general, quantity, eligibility, all discussions, and TC minutes. They can be signed by all the members. And the provision provides these tabs can be managed, configured by the convener himself depending upon the requirements, and they can be shared between the TC members. People can sign, need not sign, send back with comments. Finally, it has to be put up, the tender committee minutes duly signed will be put up online to the tender committee, tender accepting authority, and tender accepting authority will indicate his decisions to accept or reject various types of possibilities. This is all automated. I would briefly dwell upon the ERA. This is a two-stage process. 2 times the bidder will get involved. These are the salient features: opening of techno-commercial bids, then the rules for elimination of bidders as defined by the Ministry of Railways are followed, then the reverse auction is scheduled, then the bidding during the reverse auction takes place. These are the rules initially defined in 2018. 50% of the people, if it is less than 3 bulk bidders, no ERA happens. And the rules of MSE and the local firms are applied. But these rules are defined, revised subsequently, wherein the bidding is made more competitive and the collusion or the cartel formation is tried to be minimized by introducing initial price offer at the time of first stage itself. So this is the rule, and earlier the developmental firms are already included, but here now the change is either they are within 15% of the price preference permitted or the highest bulk offer included in ERA. There are some of the screens. Here eligibility of each bidder is defined either for developmental or bulk. Here the MSE status is defined. Here the local supplier status is defined. The thumb rule is if any of the MSE column or the local supplier column is no, then the MSE rule and local supplier rule is applied. Otherwise, 50% rule of the elimination is adequate to comply with the e-reverse auction. And all this definitely has brought a lot of transparency and trust among the bidders, and it has reduced the barriers ease of doing business with the railways definitely has improved. And the departmental users also, the productivity has gone up, the cycle times have reduced. And I feel this particular e-procurement platform has made procurement paperless anyway, and contactless, and less cash, that is cashless. But what we are now trying to do is to make it very smooth, that is frictionless for all the stakeholders of IR supply chain. Thank you very much.